Hi, my name is Catherine, and today I'll be discussing the impacts of child sexual abuse. In the 1950s, Martina grew up in an abusive household and was thus sent to live at a Catholic school run by the Sisters of St. Joseph and their priest, Father Gregory. One day, when Martina was playing outside, she was blamed for something that she did not do and was punished severely. She was eventually sent to Gregory in the confessional, where he made her perform sexual acts on him as her penance. He ensnared her silence by scaring her with the promise of hellish damnation if she did not abide by his rules. Every morning, she would tell herself that she had to be extra good so that she did not have to be sent back to him. Yet, she still always ended up back there. The sexual abuse worsened, and so did his grip on her. He would claim that this was all in the will of God, and if she fought back, Jesus would send the devil out to get her. Ultimately, Martina was raped in the church building. As blood ran down her legs, and as she walked back to her room, the nuns saw her and told her she was naughty, dirty, and disgusting, to get cleaned up and stay in her room. She was only 8 years old. I imagine that this is really difficult to hear. For me, it's really difficult to say. But what's even more heartbreaking is that Martina's story is just one out of millions, where one is one too many. Child sexual abuse is a silent epidemic that is spreading more rapidly than ever. Just like a virus, no child is immune. It does not see age, gender, or socioeconomic status. It's in every neighborhood and in every schoolyard. I know that we are capable of making great efforts to stop this from happening if we are equipped with the right knowledge and resources to do so. I strongly believe it's one of our most paramount duties to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Children are by far the most vulnerable to suffer from this epidemic. Although it is an uphill battle, I believe that if just one child is rescued, then we have already won. After doing research and understanding the pain and consequences of sexual abuse myself, I feel so passionately about ensuring that no other child has to endure that. Unfortunately, according to the Department of Justice, 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted by the time they reach 18. From that, it is estimated that 2/3 of the children will never tell their secret. In addition, over 90% of the time, the perpetrator is someone they know and trust. For this reason, it is necessary that we do something to deter these odds. So, after hearing my speech, you will understand the problems associated with child sexual abuse, ways in which you can stop these occurrences from happening, and how our world will drastically change for the better. Child sexual abuse is a silent killer that ravages every country. It's here, and the whole nation is infected. I think that every time a child is sexually assaulted, that child dies, and all that's left is a shell of who they once were. They are never able to reclaim that life of childish innocence, joy, and sincerity. It is such a prevalent problem that many are not too comfortable to address. But if we don't, more young children will be lost. Regrettably so, age is a significant factor in sexual abuse. While there is risk for children of all ages, children are most vulnerable to abuse between the ages of 7 and 13. Thus, more than 20% of children are sexually abused before the age of 8. In other words, more than 20% of children are lost to this epidemic. Dr. Veronique Valerie is a clinical psychologist that has spent years working with victimized children. She further addresses the fact that out of 1,000 rapes, only 344 rapes are reported. Out of that, only 63 lead to arrest, and out of that, only 16 go to prosecution. And finally, out of those 1,000, only 6 go to jail. Martina is one of those who never reported her rape, well until she was into her adult years. She felt no one would believe. She felt no one would believe that most likely because she felt no one would believe that the priest, a supposed holy man, could ever commit such a crime. After all, who would believe an 8-year-old girl? Now that I've told you about the impact of child sexual abuse, I will discuss the consequences of it. The repercussions of child sexual abuse live on long after the abuse has ended. Those who have been sexually abused during their childhood are 2 to 7 times more likely to be re-victimized as adults, and are 6 times more likely to develop a complex form of PTSD, according to the World Health Organization. Chief psychologist Dr. Bryony Ferrant observes that it differs from other forms of PTSD in that sufferers tend to have a completely pervasive and rigid negative belief about themselves. An analysis of Truth Project participants found that 85% had mental health problems in later life, including depression and anxiety. While almost half struggled with education or getting a job done, some suffered difficulty eating or sleeping and were dependent on drugs and alcohol. 1 in 5 had tried to kill themselves. Martina proves these statistics are true. She was unable to hold down a job and lived a reckless lifestyle, in which she had a teenage pregnancy. She, however, surrendered full custody to the child's father. Furthermore, she adds that today she still feels filthy. Although she showers 3 times a day, she still feels filthy and she cannot get herself clean. Martina also suffers from insomnia and has been prescribed sleeping tablets, which only give her 4 hours of sleep every night. She has also tried to commit suicide on numerous occasions. Imagine the depths of depression one must have to be in to find absolutely no reason to live. This is the extent to which child sexual abuse pushes one towards. It makes you believe that only death will set you free. So, what do we do about it? The solution for this epidemic is simple: take time to spread awareness and gain knowledge about the indication of the warning signs. All this entails is for you to get involved in any way you can with any organization, such as the Enough Abuse campaign or Stop the Silence. I believe that success is defined not by what you have, but by what you can give. And I think that our richest asset is our time. It is one of the most valuable things one person can give to another. So I do not ask that you donate money. However, everyone has a few minutes to educate themselves and spread that awareness, whether in person or through social media outlets. The more we can expose this public secret, the more children we could possibly save. It's as simple as calling the National Sexual Assault Hotline if you suspect that a child is being harmed. Terry Goodkind, an American author, once wrote that I'd rather look a fool than be right and fail to act. So the next time you're out walking in the park or the mall, you can try to look for the physical and behavioral signs. Because unfortunately, child sexual abuse is not always easy to spot, especially since the perpetrators have such kind and decent faces like you and I. I think that if more people were to get informed, there would be more awareness, thus more child safety advocates walking around. With that, we could hope to expect an increase in reports, prosecutions, and even imprisonment. Foremost, we can hope to expect a decrease of child sexual abuse, increasing the livelihood and happiness of children. If we fail to do this, I know for a fact that our numbers will continue down this same trend, if not worsen. It would be outright immoral to sit back and do nothing. Albert Einstein once said, "Only a life lived in the service of others is worth living." Now that I've told you about the impacts of child sexual abuse, ways in which you can stop it from happening, and what our future could look like, it is time for you to do your part. I ask, are you comfortable knowing that there will be 500,000 babies born in the US this year that will be sexually abused before they turn 18 if we do not prevent it? Remember, child abuse occurs at every socioeconomic level, across ethnic and cultural lines, within all religions, and at all levels of education. But 95% of abuse is preventable through education and awareness. This crime thrives on our silence. Please speak up and speak out. And as philosopher Edmund Burke once observed, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Thank you.